these right now are unprecedented times. We are living in a pandemic, once in a lifetime kind of scenario. And you've seen Ramadan in the past, and you are experiencing since last year a new kind of pandemic Ramadan. So, what, in your opinion, would be the key differences you have been observing between pre pandemic and the current scenario? My question stems basically from one of the other programs where I attended, one of the doctors from the Indian Doctors Forum. A question that was posted to him was, is inhalation of steam beneficial in fighting COVID, and does this invalidate your fast? Now, this is a question you would never have heard of if there was no pandemic. So the kind of questions, the kind of queries that have the doctors have been receiving has completely changed over the past maybe 1.5 years. So, in your experience, what key differences have you observed?
Yeah, Ramadan in the pre-pandemic, yes, as we mentioned earlier, it was a festivity. Everything was open. We were going out. We are enjoying, sharing the gifts. I am a Hindu by community. My neighbor is a Muslim. We are doctors staying as a neighbors. We share the iftar greetings or iftar food they prepare. We share between each other during the Eid, and it is the time to build up our relations between the communities. That atmosphere has come down this time because of the pandemic. We are not able to celebrate, and maybe it is a low key. Whatever Ramadan is celebrated, even prayers. Last year, I remember, Muslim brothers could not go to the mosque itself. This year, at least, they can go with all health ministry guidelines. They can do the prayers. I will advise my Muslim brothers to strictly follow the COVID guidelines while doing the prayers and all, because it is the whole world we have to save this deadly pandemic. The social distancing or wearing a mask, whatever the COVID norms are there, we have to strictly abide by that. That is my request to all who are maybe small gatherings, whatever is happening here, to strictly follow the Kuwait ministry guidelines.
Great advice there, Dr. Surinder. Mr. Sharifuddin, how has Ramadan changed for you pre-pandemic and during pandemic?
Thank you very much, Adnan, and thank you, Dr. Suren Naik, for his beautiful inputs, and it shows that how much intercultural understanding he have in Kuwait, that he knows about Ramadan in detail, and he knows about ministry guidelines for prayers and everything. So this is again an opportunity of intercultural understanding, opportunity in Kuwait. And pandemic, definitely, last year and this year, what we have experienced is something very unusual and unprecedented. Probably never in human history such thing happened, that the whole society is in a way affected by a pandemic. And also it affected the Ramadan as well. In Ramadan, the message of Ramadan, if you see, it is not only about hunger and thirst. It says that in prophetic saying, Prophet Muhammad said that if a man is not refraining from telling lies and acting upon lies, Allah is not in need of his hunger and thirst. So fasting means it's a kind of total fasting, in the sense it is refraining from food, refraining from drink, and refraining from bad things, and participating in virtues and giving charities. So in a way, pandemic has created a kind of compassion towards other human beings. Also, Ramadan is a month of compassion, because about Ramadan, Prophet Muhammad said, وَهُوَ الشَّهْرُ الْمَوَاسَطِ. Ramadan is a month of compassion. So we have seen, particularly even in the month of Ramadan, Muslim community has shown their compassion towards all communities, particularly in multicultural societies. In India today, if you see, hundreds and thousands of mosques are converted into hospitals and quarantine centers. And sometimes families are afraid to, participate in the last rites of a person when he is died. So you have seen Muslims even participated in the last rite of other communities, even in the month of Ramadan. And this is something compassion, and it is definitely the pandemic has allowed everybody to create more compassion because they understood that life is so uncertain, anything may happen anytime. And also about the compassion, there is another saying of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu our Shirley ma'am was also telling that no Muslim family should be in hunger. But when you see the prophetic teaching, it says not only Muslim family. It says, "Lais al mu'minu alladhi yashbau wa jaruhu jayun ila jambi." That means he cannot be a Muslim and he cannot be a believer when he eats full stomach when his neighbor is empty stomach. So this is the concept of compassion in Islam. That in neighborhood, whether he is a Muslim, whether he is a non-Muslim, whether he belongs to, whether he is an atheist, whether he is a believer, non-believer, irrespective of that, if he is hungry, it is your responsibility to feed them and to be, compassionate about their basic needs. It's not only hunger, whatever is the basic need. So pandemic has taught that how uncertain life is and how we should be compassionate towards society. And I have seen this Muslim communities participating in this, particularly in our country, in our multicultural society in India. Muslims are in forefront in providing oxygens, in providing hospital beds, in participating in last rites, in distributing meals. This is a good thing, and this is the real spirit of Ramadan, that you have to become a compassionate person. Because nowhere it says that it's all about hunger and thirst alone. Hunger and thirst is necessary, part of it. But it is more than hunger and thirst, that you have to develop an inherent quality of compassion. So this we have seen in during the time of pandemic. And I was in India last year, and I live in Mangalore, for example. In my surroundings, there are around 50 non-Muslim families. They are very poor. And there are some Muslim families, they are not very poor. They are all from Gulf background, so they are affluent. So we made arrangement to distribute kits to all 50 families who were affected by the pandemic and they had no food. We were fasting, but they are not fasting, but they are in need of food. So we distributed it, and this kind of opportunity we have seen everywhere. And pandemic has definitely taught us that life is very uncertain and death is very certain. It may come any day. And death may come in any age. Many young people died, and many, not only old people. So many old people were cured from the pandemic. Many young people died. So this pandemic has taught us so many lessons that we have to be compassionate. We have to rely on our good deeds. We have to care for others, and we have to be, doing a lot of virtues when we are given this life by God. So this spirit I have seen in pandemic all over, wherever Muslim society are there, particularly Kuwait and India. This is a good thing that we have seen in, pandemic. Also, one more thing what we have seen is that, adjusting to a new thing. People are very much comfortable with their comfort zones. So in pandemic, there is no comfort zone. So you have to adjust to a total new atmosphere. So this is also I have seen that every person, not only Muslims and non-Muslims, and every person have learned to shun their comfort zones to adjust to the new atmosphere. This is also a good thing about the pandemic, and pandemic has taught us a lot of lessons. So we have to learn this lesson for life and to contribute to make human life better. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your insight, Mr. Sharfuddin. I would like to address the next question to Mr. Jaykumar. We have been seeing that business giants are folding, most stable jobs are falling. Everything seems to be uncertain right now in the current scenario. And I think COVID has taught us how uncertain life is and how helpless we are in front of our Creator, isn't it? So, do you think this changes everyone's mindset on how moving forward we look at life?
True, it's exactly this pandemic has taught most of us, current generation. This is one of the calamity or the pandemic which has taught a great lesson for all the human beings. because most of the other calamities, particularly touchwood, it should not happen. Most of the other calamities like earthquake or flood and another thing, one time it comes and people forget the past. That's what it happens. But for the last 2 years, every day people are dying. The dear ones who are we know who are very healthy also, they are dying in front of us. It makes us to learn the lesson of life actually, because life is not sure. Like whatever good deeds you want to do it right now actually. So that's what like, and also this type of for the last 1.5 year or 2 years, the communal harmony, no religion, nothing actually. Like no, it doesn't care actually whether which religion you belong to or something. So for 2 years, almost we are learning that lesson. So this is one of the greatest opportunity God has given to us to learn the lesson of life, and nobody is upper or nobody is higher or something actually. Be hormonal like a communal harmony, and you come together and just face life actually. So this is one area we had the lesson learned from this pandemic is like we need to live together. We all have come to this earth as a one human being. Religion is like a part of like a job. Like, oh, okay, my job is better than your job, or your job might be better than my job. Actually. So it's not to propaganda those things outside. So it's between we keep it in our heart, we keep it within ourselves, and let's work in a harmonious way. Actually, so this pandemic is the right apt time God has given to us to learn the lesson of life.
Excellent thought there over there. Thank you so much, Mr. Jaykumar. Mr. Venkat, I'd like to address the next question to you. With all the gloom and sorrow all around us, unfortunately, most of us have experienced loss in some form or the other, and it has become a little hard to maintain a smile during these testing times. How important do you think it is to maintain a positive attitude during this pandemic scenario?
Yeah, it is unfortunate that, as you said, we are in pandemic, and unfortunately today I lost one of my close friend
So
at
sorry
Khammam
about that.
in Telangana, and the neighborhood of my village next to my house, young boy is 45 years old, passed away because of a pandemic. Even last night, these two incidents has changed. My brother, of course, is staying in US states, and today I had a talk with him. Of course, he's also rising with his group members and everything. As a financial, we have to stand with those deceased family. That is one thing we can do. And one more thing, as Mr. Sharfuddin told, I have seen so many videos of Muslim brothers stand for final ritual of Hindus and everything. Of course, that is the humanity and of course need of the hour, as I told earlier quote. And we sometimes we could not able to speak what we are supposed to speak in front of us. There is no guarantee for the life. I mean, there is no difference between rich, poor, and everything. This religion, this caste, that caste, and everything. Even one of my friend told me today, one man is ready from fly from Delhi to Hyderabad for bed. He could not able to get. Is a special flight. He want to come, but he could not able to get. So these are all the things we have to understand. Why this happened? Why we are losing? Because why society is going to chaos? Because the humans, the day by day, humanity is going down. That is what I believe. We have to respect each and every religion. We have to follow. We have to respect, and this is what I can say. Of course, there should not be any differences. Everyone, that is your individual faith they follow. When the society is not going chaos, like we give respect to the nature. Of course, nature will give respect to us. That is what I believe. And really, I don't know what to speak when we are losing near and dear. Unnatural, of course. It is natural. One day or the other, everyone has to leave this world. I do agree, but unnatural is leaving. Pandemic. I could not able to speak out, Mr. Radhanan, more than this.
Absolutely. This situation puts all of us at loss of words, and once again, we are very sorry for your loss. But thank you so much for your input. Ma'am, Mrs. Shardi, I would like to have your input on the same. The entire society expects the education sector to be responsible to bring out a positive attitude amongst the children. Most of them, all of them for that matter, are stuck inside the house, and they have pushed this responsibility upon all of you. How seriously do you take this positive attitude?
The education itself, the concept of education has changed completely. The teachers, the traditional way of teaching. Once we were comfortable with the classroom teaching, and suddenly all the teachers are pushed into a system of online teaching where they don't know what to do, and have taken up that. And you know that the parents who used to dress the children and give the tiffin, books, everything, and send them to school, and they felt that okay, my responsibility is not getting over there. But this pandemic situation created a totally different thing. There are so many happened that parents became, some of them could not accept this increased responsibility of taking care of a child at the top of the classes. Some of them taken it in a very positive way. And there are so many positive things happen. Many things which a parent is not able to handle 2 or 3 children at home. And they started respecting a teacher who is handling 45 students in a classroom, which was real. Now, at the moment, there are so many panic calls we get from the parents. This thing is not right, that thing is not right. But then I try to understand, and I must it the parents of our school, the way they cooperate, they are ready to accept for their children. But the real challenge in us is coming not now. After this lockdown, after online classes, when the children come back to school, we are going to face a big challenge of, that they one kind of withdrawals. They don't know how to handle to sit in classes for a long time, and the teachers, everything is going to be a change. And there we need to be more positive. And the concept of teaching and the concept of education is going to undergo a drastic transformation after this COVID situation. And without positive attitude, it is not going to be working out at all. And we are hopeful that, and we are equipping our teachers with that attitude, make the world. I keep on telling the parents only one thing, along with giving food and other materialistic things, teach the children to live. Not to score marks, but to teach them to live. Teach them to be happy and teach them to understand the other human being. I think that will be, will be able to solve all the issues. And we have understood the life is uncertain and we have no role to play in that, but only being positive. We cannot stop any kind of calamities. It's not in our hands. But what is in our control is change our attitude and ready to face. And with that, if I am able to make one person happy today, one console person, that is the greatest happiness or a positivity which I can spread. If everyone thinks that way, I think God is going to be able to face it very bravely and very positively. Thank you so much.
Well, I definitely cannot speak for all the parents out there, but I definitely have a whole new level of respect for all the teachers out there and cannot wait for all the schools to open up again. Well, unfortunately, we are running out of time, so I'd quickly like to have a quick word from each one of you. During this Ramadan, what can we do to give back to the Kuwait society? So let's begin with Mrs. Shirley Dennis itself.
I think giving back to the society not only during Ramadan. First of all, is a country who we are existing here just because of this country. What we call that, adaptation to our culture. So we have to follow the rules which is put forward by the government and respect the government and respect every human being and no surety for whatever we do and respect the next person, spread the good word and follow the rules and take care of ourselves, take care of others. That is my word.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Surendra Naik, your last word. For all the luxuries we are enjoying over here, how can we give back to the Kuwait society?
Yeah. First of all, we have to thank the Kuwait government, the His Highness Amir and rulers for giving us to opportunity to work in this beautiful country. We are very happy. I am here in the last 20 years. First of all, we have to our work front. We have to work honestly. Already Indians have a very good name in Kuwait. We are the honest people working in Kuwait. We have a lots of praise from Kuwaiti community. We should not dent it. We have to work honestly, work humbly, and to increase or to try to boost our Kuwaiti Indian friendship. That is what IDF is doing through the community activities like organizing health camps, health awareness campaigns. During the pandemic, we are helping a lot to the community. I am also member of Indian Community Support Group, which is a group working with the Indian Embassy, helping all our Indian diaspora in Kuwait during this pandemic. This is how Kuwait is also appreciating the way we work to help our brothers in irrespective of religion in Kuwait. This is the time to help each other, boost the relations between Kuwait and India, whatever possible from our side as an individual or through the association or through the community, through our work front. We have to do our best to boost up India-Kuwait friendship and relation, which is a long-lasting one. We are celebrating the 60th year of India-Kuwait friendship. We have to try our best to boost up this relation. This is only through religious harmony and whatever charity or through our deeds or activities. Once again, thank you for inviting me for this beautiful, wonderful event. I have to thank Sharfuddin ji for this.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dr. Surendra Naik. Mr. Venkat, your thoughts on giving back to the society?
One thing, thanks for asking this question actually. This is one of the, of course, I came in 2003. Of course, once I came here, as a financial, I was in very good position, and thanks to the Kuwait government, and that is one thing. And second thing, we have to respect to the rule of the land. That is most important thing we can give back to the society. And second thing, of course, financially, of course, no need to do help to any Kuwait society. That is one thing. Other thing, we used to conduct a blood donation camps sometimes. Even January this year, January 18th also, on NTR's death anniversary, we conducted blood donation. We around 106 people participated on that January 18th. That is one thing. We used to conduct blood donation camps. That is one thing we are giving to the society. And of course, we have to follow the guidelines, health guidelines. That is only the best we can do to the Kuwait society at this moment. And once again, thank you, IMA and other dignitaries who participated this evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Venkat. Last, Mr. Jaykumar, can we have your inputs on this?
Yeah, as far as giving to the society, all of us, almost 1 million Indians who are all here, we should be grateful to this country for lighting the lives of most of the people, to making them elevated in the society as well as here as well as in India also. So we need to be thankful that basically we come from oil and gas division. 95% of Kuwait's revenue is from the oil and gas industry. So this oil and industry, like majority of the high profile people like the CEOs or like DCOs are all like got trained by the Indians. Basically, Indians are dominating most of the oil and gas industry. So they also give high value and respect to the Indians. Particularly, the Indians have contributed to the growth of the oil and gas industry in Kuwait. So it's vice versa. We also have contributed for Kuwait. And at the outset, like what we have to do is like, because it's like a give and take policy. We need to respect the government regulations, because we need to be very thankful to Kuwait for not discriminating us, not giving the medicines. When during a pandemic, it's a huge burden for the government to take care of the expats also. But still, without any hesitation, they are doing, and we need to be very thankful to the Kuwait government. And let's respect the society and the government regulations and other thing. Let's try to not give much trouble to the Kuwait government. That's what I would request during this pandemic days actually. And thank you for this opportunity once again from my part. And let's see next time. Even also, I'll try to join. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jaykumar. We do look forward to having all of you back with us again on Ramadan Talk. May I request Mr. Sharfuddin Sufi to give his thoughts on how we can give back to the society, and may I request you to conclude the program itself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adnan, Dr. Surendra Naik, Mr. Venkat, Jaykumar, Mr. Shirley, and everybody for sharing your beautiful thoughts. Since Adnan has asked me to conclude, let me tell 2-3 things. One is, Islam, in Islamic terminology, there is a beautiful statement. It says, "A'malu li dunyaka ka'annaka ta'ishu abada." Live in this world as if you are going to live forever. "A'malu li akhirataka ka'annaka tamutu ghadan." Also live for life hereafter as if you are going to die tomorrow. So probably in this pandemic situation, you can see a kind of uncertainty people are facing, that what will happen to us, what will happen to our family. Probably these two extremes, if you keep in your mind, it is very helpful. It says that live in this world as if you are going to live forever, and live for life hereafter means prepare for life after death as if you are going to die tomorrow. So these two extremes we have to consider, and we have to be very positive that as if we are going to live forever, and definitely death is certain, and one day we are going to die, and that may come tomorrow as well. So that's why if you keep these two extremes in life, probably we will have more positive attitude, which is necessary, so that we can become a more productive society. And one more thing is, when we are passing through month of Ramadan, what we have to see is that what is my contribution to my family, my society, and the society where I live. In Quran also it says, "Yuridu Allahu bikumul yusr, wala yuridu bikumul usr." About Ramadan and about month of fasting, it says, the intention of Allah is to give you all kinds of ease, not to put you in trouble. If you see in this month of Ramadan, there is a big contribution towards society. There are more than 1 billion Muslims in the world, and simultaneously at the same time, a majority of the population of Muslims among the global Muslim population of 1 billion Muslims, they try to be good human beings, they try to do charity, they try to refrain from bad things, they contribute towards good things, and they try to become productive human beings. If almost 1 billion people try to do this, it will definitely have a positive impact. And among the charity also, 2.5% of the charity means every year in the month of Ramadan, the charity is more than several billion. And this charity, particularly people pay their zakat. Zakat means a compulsory charity which Muslims have to give. They can give any time, but Ramadan is a month where God will give more reward. That's why normally people focus on giving charity in this month. So the charity, if you collect the charity of the whole world, it is several $billion probably. So several $1 billion are invested for poverty alleviation. This is also a big contribution. So I think we have to, if you just make a slogan and statement and not practicing it, then it's of no use. People should practice this. And this pandemic has taught one more important thing, is that the real concept of what is the real concept of God and what is the real concept of religion, this pandemic has taught us. People are focusing more on mandirs, on churches and masjid. Now in pandemic, you can see that masjid, mandir and churches are closed all over the world. And in many priests and of all communities, whether it is a Muslim community or a Christian community, a Hindu community, also infected with COVID and also died. So this gives us a clear understanding of what is, the religion. In religion, for example, Prophet Muhammad said, when you want to believe in God, first make your preparation. A gentleman was, let his camel free, and he said, I believe in God, that nothing will happen. So Prophet Muhammad called him, he said, first tie your camel, then believe your God. Okay, so we have to make your preparations. First make medicine, first make all your efforts, then believe in God that what God wills is going to happen. This is a lesson we learned from the pandemic, that we have to do all our good efforts. When it comes to pandemic, take vaccination, wear masks, and keep social distancing and help each other to curtail this pandemic. Also, when society is facing the challenges, see that what I can contribute. This is the religion. This is the real religious teachings. So if you focus your religion only on symbols, beard or some kind of symbols and some kind of buildings, then that's not the real concept. And this is the concept taught by all religions as well, not only Islam, but every religion says that religion is not only symbol, but religion is, service to humanity. So this is the message we can learn, that in this pandemic, service to humanity is the biggest message. And being a NRIs in Kuwait, non-residents Indians in Kuwait, it is our responsibility that we have to make justice to both nations. One is our motherland, one is our land where we are living in. In both places, we have to live like a good citizens and contribute our best to the society, so that society will benefit from us. And it is our responsibility that God has given us only one life in this in this world. Okay, you are never going to come again. This is as per the Islamic belief. Maybe some beliefs may be different, but still, ultimately, you can presume that there will be only one life. So see that what we are doing, how we are making justice to this life by believing in God, and by believing that human race is one human race, God is only one, and real religion is virtues towards human beings. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity, Adnan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharifuddin Sufi, for that insight. Unfortunately, folks, that's all the time we have today. I thank our guests for being the pioneers in their respective communities in building stronger communal unity. And I thank you, viewers, for tuning in. Until next time, wear your mask, wash your hand, and maintain social distancing. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.